We are ranking the NFL's top coaching staffs on today's episode of the PHLY Eagles podcast with Zach Berman in studio. Coming up now. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast on another steamy day. It's a Wednesday. Bo Wulf, Zach Berman. How are you, my friend?
Doing great. Excited for the show.
Happy draft day.
Happy draft day. I'm used to the draft days being on Thursdays, right?
Actually, there was a draft last night. PWHL draft. Shout out to
how'd it go?
Ava Rinker and Jada Habish getting drafted out of UConn.
Shout out to Ava and
Jada.
Ava and Jada.
I believe Ava is from the Philadelphia area.
I prefer Ava than Jada then, as far as the prospect. Yes.
Well, she went one pick ahead, so there you go.
There you go.
How you doing? What do you want the Sixers to do tonight? But everybody, obviously, I imagine anybody who is even a little bit interested in the NBA draft will be watching tonight's show with Kyle and Derek and Devon from the Boozy Mutt. I believe the show starts at 7, but the draft starts at 8. So, I mean, listen, they're going to be picking early. Got to get all those rumors in.
Yeah.
What do you want them to do?
So I want them to.
I know you were very upset to miss being on the Sixers show on.
I know. I want. Yes. Yeah. And I love the NBA draft. It's one of my favorite nights of the year. I would try to trade with Washington. I would.
Who has what number pick?
6. They have 6 and 18, and then maybe you can sell a bad contract in there. I wanted them to pick up Sadiq Bey, but he got traded to New Orleans. But 6 and 18, because to me, VJ is the likely option at 3. VJ Edgecombe, that is. I would prefer 6 getting Trey Johnson or Con Knubel. I
believe it's Knipple.
Yeah, Knibble.
It rhymes with nipple.
Who I think has a little Clay Thompson in his game.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so now that's like the best outcome.
There are too many things. There's just one too many things working against Con Knipple. Duke, White, and more importantly, the KK. And so if he could just add a little half curve and turn Con to Ron, you just connect those two on the K there. If he was Ron Knipple, I'm in.
You'd be all in.
But you can't. I can't take the white guy KK. You know, there's too many Clint Kubiaks running around.
And a Clay. Yeah, we'll get to that today.
We'll get to that on this episode. But no, I can't do Con Knipple.
I mean, I think he's a winning player, and Trey Johnson's just a bucket getter, man. And the guy I didn't mention was Ace Bailey, who is kind of the variable here. I think the best thing they could do is
go to 6 and you miss out on all 3.
I think Fears is going in the top 5. Jeremiah Fears. But then you would end up with Ace, and I think Ace at 6, then you get 18. That's not a horrible outcome. But I still think if there's any way they can get the 2, Dylan Harper's the guy who just screams like fit. You can see him playing in a pick and roll offense, and in the NBA, he's got the size, the length. So I would like to find a way to get to 2, but I would try to trade. And
are the Berman brothers split?
They like VJ,
okay,
but they wouldn't mind the trade down if you can get either Trey or Con and then get assets with it.
Okay, all of them.
By the way, big day for you yesterday, or for Wake Forest alone. I mean, Chase Burns looked awesome.
I just traded him last week.
I know, but he's still
okay.
As a Deke,
I'm happy to root for him. Yeah,
I had that game on.
I mean, they got both. They got Chase Burns and Rhett Ladder
and Rhett Ladder. Yeah.
Back-to-back Demon Deacon aces.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, it wasn't that big of a day, but
he pitched well.
Yeah,
future ace.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, what else is going on in your world?
I'm excited for this coach draft today. This was a fun episode last year.
Listen, the arc of history. You had a couple okay calls last year.
Yeah, I was bullish on Washington a year ago.
Yeah,
and that turned out better than that turned out better than expected.
I would agree with that.
If I bought their stock, it would have gone up. Yeah,
that's it.
Well, I'm excited for the show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for this conversation. There's the interesting thing this year is, and we had this conversation a year ago. How much you rank, because this isn't head coach rankings. You go online right now, you find the head coach rankings. We find this is coaching
the whole staff
rankings. Yeah, so
I think and that really weights the top of my top of my ranking.
Yes, exactly. So. With the Eagles, Jeff Stoutland, to me, pushes them up the board.
No doubt about it.
Right? There are teams like San Francisco's done a really good job building up their assistant coaching staff this offseason. And then there are teams like Detroit, which lost, two proven legit coordinators and are unproven in that area. So there have been some changes. The new head coaches this year didn't move the needle for me so much, although we'll get the teams that are in there. But yeah, this was a fun ranking to put together.
Went back and looked at my list from last year. I have 4 replacements, so 4 staffs who were in my top 10 last year who are no longer in my top 10 this year. Would you like to know who those 4 are?
Yes.
I'll get that out of the way. Cleveland is not in my top 10. They may be in yours. Miami was in the back end of my top 10 last year. They are no longer in my top 10. Houston was number 10 for me last year. They got the boot as well.
You're cheating on D'Amico.
It's such a distraction.
Looks are fleeting.
It's how can I focus on ball if I'm just smitten and swooning the whole time?
You do love yourself some D'Amico.
And then Detroit, to your point, I couldn't do it. I like Dan Campbell. But, you lose both guys. I'm not quite there. They were just on the outside for me.
But they ranked high in my extra category.
What's that?
Like I have head coach, OC, DC, then extra, wild card coaches, if you will, position coaches.
Dave Phipp, Hank Fraley.
David Shaw they brought in.
Yes, I knew you were going to love that.
I'm a big David Shaw guy.
Because when you think about dynamic passing games and who you would want to be your passing game coordinator, David Shaw's Stanford offense is the one that really jumps to mind.
David Shaw found a way to maximize talent. David Shaw coached with
odd career arc.
He coached with integrity. He's a good man. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
is he the good man coordinator or is he the passing game coordinator?
Well, I think he gives you gravitas on your stuff. I mean, I used this anecdote last year of Steve Wilkes. I'll always remember being on the plane with Steve Wilkes. And he was getting everyone's luggage off for them. And to me, like that said a lot about somebody.
Okay.
Although I made this reference last year. Steve Keim once hired Steve Wilkes based on a conversation they had at the beach. Is that the anecdote that you recall? They were vacationing at the same spot.
No.
And Steve Wilkes just had this great presence.
Okay.
And Steve Keim was like, that guy's head coach material. So you can't necessarily judge it based on simply the non-football interaction. But that always makes for the good story. I always like talking to the college coaches when I would ask them, there were anecdotes about recruiting the player. And they would say, you know what? I spoke to the lunch lady and he remembered her name. And,
sure.
And boom, you put that at the top of the story, that shines.
In your opinion.
Yeah.
All right, here's how we're going to do this. We are going to go from back to front. We're going to go 10 to 1, except I'm going to start right away. I want to know where you have the Eagles. So let's talk Eagles up front,
yes.
And then we'll get to the rest of the league. Coaching staff rankings, not just the head coach. You don't even know what your roster is. You are just bringing in this coaching staff, and then you figure out what your roster is, and you are moving forward this season. Where are the Eagles? Where are the Eagles for you?
You want to say it at the same time?
No, I want you to go first.
2.
Number 2.
Number 2.
Okay.
And
tell me why.
Are you saying your ranking, or
I'll tell you where I have him after you go. Tell me why.
Yeah, I mean, Super Bowl winning head coach who had a redemptive year last year. I think Nick Sirianni proved his worth last year. The numbers speak for himself. Nick doesn't need me defending him anymore. I think Nick can just point to the resume at this point. 4 seasons, 4 Super Bowl, 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 Super Bowl championship, 4 playoff appearances, 3 double-digit win seasons, highest winning percentage of any coach in the NFL. Speaks for itself. Vic Fangio is up there among the best defensive coordinators in the NFL, and you could argue in NFL history, but certainly in the NFL now. And he turned a bad defense into the number 1 defense last year. Jeff Stoutland, best position coach in the NFL, and what he has been able to do on a consistent basis is hard to ignore. I think the rest of the Eagles staff has shown the ability to develop players in a significant way, frankly, more so than Doug Peterson's staff. I think Doug Peterson's staff was a really good game planning staff for much of the time. I don't think they were as good on player development. I think the player development has really been exemplary, or has been apparent with this coaching staff. Where I dock them a bit is the offensive coordinator is unproven, and it's hard to account for that. I mean, I think Kevin Patullo is a bright guy. I'm curious to see how he does this year, but he does not come with the same bona fides as the number 1 team that I have here.
Okay, I'm going to tell you about Nick first. In thinking of Nick, one thing that did occur to me as I was thinking about this is it has been a different type of coaching job each of his 4 seasons. You know what I mean? It has not been like he has had to coach different teams and different life cycles each of the 4 years. Year 1, okay, he brings in all these young guys. This is a staff of teachers. We are going to develop this young team, and they overperform. You go into that offseason, you get A.J. Brown, you have this unbelievable offseason. Now, all of a sudden, this is a loaded roster. We're going to maximize that, and he does a very good job with that, with the staff carryover. That's great. The next year, okay, we are coming off of a Super Bowl. This is, how do we handle that success? And, it was good, but then there was the collapse.
Yep.
So then the next year, it's okay, how do we deal with that failure in front of the whole world? And obviously, they did a great job with that after the stumbles early. So I think now this is a little bit different, right? How do we deal with being the hunted? But I think he has proven that he can sort of handle those different challenges in different ways. Vic Fangio, I having watched it last year, it's hard for me not to think that he would be the number 1 choice for any defensive coordinator that I would want. Jeff Stoutland, I would argue that I would take Jeff Stoutland as my offensive line coach over like any offensive coordinator you could give me.
Interesting.
Right? I would rather have that.
So if we had a coach's draft,
I might take Stout before I draft an offensive coordinator.
Wow. Okay.
Because I think there's a bigger delta with him and other offensive line coaches at a position that matters than other things. I think to your other point, I think the staff itself, the rebuild that they were able to do last offseason after sort of being pillaged following the Super Bowl in 2022, there's a really nice balance of guys who are overqualified for their positions, like Clint Hurt as a former defensive coordinator, coaching the defensive line. Jason Michael, a former coordinator, coaching the tight ends, stuff like that. That is very good. And you also have guys on the up, right? Like Christian Parker, we all expect is going to be a defensive coordinator probably next offseason. So there's a really nice balance there. For those reasons, I've got the Eagles at number 1, Zach.
Wow.
I know that Kevin Patullo, who knows what's going to happen, but I am valuing like Vic and Stout, and there's a reason that the team that you have number 1, I will not have number 1, and I will explain that. But I think that is why I have the Eagles at number 1.
It's interesting.
What a homer!
No, this is good. This makes for good conversation. Eagles at number 1. Okay, where were they last year for you?
Last year, the Eagles I had at number 6.
And I think I had them 3 last year, 2 or 3.
And I remember actually, I think Shield called us to account. He said we were way too flowery on the Eagles coaching staff. Well, egg on his face.
I mean, look, Nick Sirianni knows what's up. So
what does that mean? What does that have anything to do with anything?
So yeah, that's just a sentence. I said this yesterday. It's a live show. Sometimes you say things, and you know what? If we were pre-taping, you could edit it out. You could say, I want a better sentence there. We just roll with it.
Number one. That's where I've got them.
There you go.
That's where they rank.
The red light is on.
Number one, Bobby King. Read some stories from Zach Berman telling me about how good Bobby King is.
Backwards hat, though.
What a big role. Are you going to continue on this thing? Like you're just very anti-backwards hat?
No,
it's disrespectful?
It's a funny Colin Cowherd thing.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the reference. It's a Colin Cowherd reference.
Well, I understand, but you continue to call people to account for it. I like a backwards hat.
I don't mind a backwards hat.
Apparently you do.
And he wants me to wear the backwards hat. I say I can't pull off the backwards hat.
I'll tell you
it defeats the purpose of the hat, from my opinion.
Well, not necessarily.
I mean, you're not covering the shape.
I haven't played tennis in a while, but that is my favorite time to do the backwards hat.
Interesting.
Is playing tennis, unless you're serving up into the sun. You're a little Leighton Hewitt action. Fantastic.
I mean, when I was younger, and you and I are the same age, Ken Griffey Jr. was the coolest person in the world. Like no one was cooler than Ken Griffey Jr. And when he would take BP with that backwards hat,
yeah, of course,
and boom, he
still do the Griffey waggle up
yes,
the plate. Absolutely.
The lefty's the best swing I've ever seen. I mean, it's just
I know it's iconic. I feel like everybody just accepts that it's the best looking swing. It's a good look. It's a top 10 swing.
Name a better swing.
I like Manny Ramirez's swing.
Okay. All right.
That's a beautiful fluid swing to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Griffey's is good.
Yeah. I still go Griffey.
Okay.
When I was younger, I could mimic everyone's swings.
Yeah, of course.
No, I couldn't do that anymore. I don't pay as much attention to the swings.
Jose Bautista?
Oh, that of course.
Mickey Tettleton?
Wide stance?
No, Mickey Tettleton he had it dropped like this.
Okay.
Like, perpendicular.
Remember Fred McGriff?
Yeah, Crown Dog.
Yep.
And then there was who was the guy who reached it all the way up? It was like reaching up as high as he could go. Is that Craig Counsell?
Oh yeah, Craig Counsell. A good manager, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. If we did MLB coaching staff rankings, the Cubs would be pretty high.
Okay. Now, where would the Eagles rank if we were doing the attractiveness draft?
I defer those answers to you.
Okay.
Yeah. What would you say?
I mean, Vic raises the floor. I would say. Yeah.
Up the nose.
I like that up the nose shot.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. We'll say that for now.
Who's number one? Who's first off the bus?
Number one.
No, but who's first off the bus on the Eagles?
Who's first off the bus?
That's
a good
Eagles.
question.
Yeah.
Let me see. Let me take a look. Let me take a look at the picture of the roster, the coaching staff roster. Tell us in the chat who you think the most attractive Eagles coach is. I would say I think you could go Christian Parker.
Okay.
Yeah. You disagree?
Great shoe collection. I read that in EJ Smith story in the Inquirer last year.
Okay.
Shout out EJ.
You're not going to give an answer?
No.
You're going to make me answer, but you won't answer.
Yeah, that's not something I answer for. I don't judge people by their looks. I judge
Tell you what, though, based on the headshots here, rather the lack thereof, I mean, Parks Frazier must not be much of a looker.
Or maybe
it's a Marla Hooch situation. They won't even let you see him.
They just want you to judge him for the coach he is, not for the looks, right?
There you go.
It's like Malcolm Gladwell told the story one time about how when you hire a babysitter, you should do interviews over the phone and not in person, because there's certain cognitive biases that you might have based on the person coming in, and that hiring over the phone is actually more effective.
Says who?
Malcolm's research.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I have the Eagles at number one. You have the Eagles at number two. Let's find out where the rest of the league ranks and who you think is better than the Eagles after this word from our sponsors. Cherry Hill Kia. If you're looking for amazing deals and super low lease payments, Kia of cherryhill.com is the place to be. They are celebrating Memorial Day savings all month long on their massive selection of over 450 new Kias to choose from. They have over 40 Tellurides, over 100 Sportages, over 35 Carnivals, and over 75 Celtos, plus over 80 Souls. I've got to tell you, Kia is the hottest automotive brand in the country for a reason. 7 of their models received 2025 Car and Driver Editor's Choice Awards. That's amazing, considering there were more than 450 models tested and only 20 models industry-wide received this award. Combine that with the best warranty in the automotive business, 10 years, 100,000-mile powertrain, and 5 years, 60,000-mile bumper-to-bumper. Stop in today, tell them PHLY sent you, and receive a $100 restaurant.com gift card just for taking a test drive or completing a trade appraisal. Listen, I made the mistake. I leased a Kia recently before I knew about Kia in Cherry Hill, and I regret it. I wish I had gone to Kia of Cherry Hill. I know people buy Kias elsewhere, like me. I don't know why. Bad job by me. Drive home in your new Kia today, just minutes from all bridges, or available online 24/7 at kiaofcherryhill.com.
My power was out for about 72 hours this past weekend, and when it came back on, there were a few outlets that were not working, and that's tough. You get electricity, but you don't have the working outlet. So if there's an outlet that you say you'd fix last weekend or last summer, there's one place to turn: Ace Hardware Home Services, because they have the person to do that too. Now they're not just the helpful hardware folks; they're also the helpful home service and repair folks. From plumbing and electrical to heating and cooling, they have the trusted pros to keep your home humming all year long. Ace Hardware Home Services, they're bringing helpful home, the helpful you love from the store, now to your front door, from Philly to the Jersey Shore. We've all been outside during these past 3 days. It is scorching outside. You can I'd say melt chocolate or
melt a turkey.
Yeah, melt cheese or fry an egg outside right now. If it's been too hot lately, the worst thing not the worst thing, but one of the worst things you can imagine is not having working AC in this heat. And so if you want that AC cranking, make sure you visit Ace Hardware Home Services. You can visit them online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get you started on your next project.
All right, Zach, who is your number 10? Let's go back to front.
My number 10. Oh, sorry, I had my skill group.
For me, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you the tiers that I had here. I had a clear top 3, and then I sort of had a clear next 3, and then I kind of had 2 that I knew were going to be 7 and 8 in some order, and then I had like 9 different staffs that I was trying to decide between for the last 2 spots. So that was difficult. So here I would be not surprised if we have different teams at 10 and 9.
So my number 10, I don't feel strongly about this because my other receiving votes might be pushing them here, and there's going to be one that I want to debate later. But the Detroit Lions, I have number 10 here.
And I told you that I left the Lions off.
And so Dan Campbell, the head coach, of course, hard to argue that. But replacing both coordinators, and both those coordinators were proven, and it's not as if they brought in established coordinators in their place.
Yeah, I'm not so sure John Morton. I mean, listen, I have no idea. Yeah. But John Morton, that's not like the most interesting background to me.
Yeah, they're going from that tree,
right.
from that Saints tree there. Kelvin Shepard on defense, you're promoting the internal assistant. Sometimes that works, sometimes it does not. But I like some of the position coach continuity that they have. Hank Fraley, the offensive line coach.
Honey buns.
They kept him when Seattle made a push to keep him last year. Dave Phipp, who we saw firsthand, strong special teams coordinator.
Beekeeper.
He does a good job there. I like the David Shaw hire.
Of course you do.
Yeah, so I think that's a staff that has some continuity. They've been one of the best teams in football during the past 2 years. So it's hard for me to leave them off the top 10. But I was close to putting 3 other teams in this spot.
Okay, my number 10, the very last one that I decided to sneak in here is the Buffalo Bills. Sean McDermott.
Yes, one of the best coaches in the league.
Probably.
Yeah.
And I think Joe Brady has obviously proven that he has rebounded well from the departure from Carolina, has brought a lot to that offense. I think McDermott is a very good coach. He's not like good enough on his own to get into the top 10 for me, But with Brady, now Bobby Babich, the son of Bob Babich, nothing but Bob Babich is in here tonight.
Yeah.
Love that. Then you got Aaron Cromer, kind of known to be an a-hole, but that's okay. Chris Tabor's done a good job with the special teams. The Bills, on the strength of what McDermott has accomplished, and with Brady, I give them my number 10 spot.
Okay. They were not in my top 10.
Okay. Even though you think he's one of the best coaches in football.
Yes. And I like Brady. This was an exercise where I had a handful of teams in that.
Were they among your?
They were among my receiving votes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's funny to call it receiving votes when you're the only voter.
True. I just think about top 25 in college basketball growing up.
Yeah.
You know. So my number 9.
Who's your number 9?
The Washington Commanders, come on down.
You don't have to yell, but yeah.
Trying to bring enthusiasm on this Wednesday afternoon here, right? Yeah. So look, I was bullish on them last year. They make the NFC Championship game in their first season together as a staff. DQ, man, I like DQ.
What about the backwards hat though?
I don't mind the backwards hat.
Mm-hmm.
Colin Cowherd does.
Okay.
Dan Quinn.
It seems racist.
What?
To have a whole thing about not liking backwards hats, knowing that it's Colin Cowherd. There's a veil of racism there, I feel.
I actually think the backwards hat, he gears it more toward white guys than, yeah. I think of, I don't think there's any racism with
I feel
with
it
that.
feels, there's a sheen of racism there, I feel.
Because
pretty clearly.
But most of the quarterbacks
what's next? Guys wearing pants that sag?
But most of the quarterbacks who he rips for it are white. I feel like Baker Mayfield, he gets on for the backwards hat. Chat, help me out here. Who else has he? But yeah, I actually don't associate the backwards hat with any racial element. Do you?
No, not necessarily,
Okay.
but the way that I feel like it is presented feels
he thinks
tinged in that way.
He thinks the quarterback should be more like presidential, like he.
Oh sure, yes.
Probably the wrong term to use. Actually, he thinks the quarterback should operate with more gravitas. Yes.
Okay.
In any event, I think Dan Quinn's a really good coach. I think Dan Quinn was a good coach in Atlanta. I think he showed last year that he took, I thought, a fine team, not a very good team, and he maximized their talent. Some people are better as offensive coordinators than head coaches, and I think Cliff Kingsbury is an example of that. I think Cliff Kingsbury is a high-level offensive coordinator. And I thought, even in Arizona, he called good offenses. Texas Tech, he called good offenses. I don't think he's a very
first
good
half of season.
But I think he's a high level offensive coordinator. Always liked Joe Witt Jr. I think Joe Witt Jr. is a strong defensive coordinator. So that's a stat that I was higher on than most last year, and all they did was outperform their stock, and so I couldn't drop them out of these rankings.
Okay, I think that's all fair. I have them just on the outside. I am lower on Kingsbury than you are, but I think Dan Quinn is a good head of the organization. I mean, listen, that defense was bad last year, and I think they're going to miss the playoffs this year unless Jaden Daniels is just that special. But I think they absolutely overperformed last year, and you were proven correct in your bullishness on that staff last year. But they're just on the outside for me. My number 9 is one where I cannot tell you that it is about the depth of the staff necessarily. There are some good coaches on the staff. You know, you got Rich Bisaccia leading the special teams. I think Jeff Hafley did a fine job as a first year defensive coordinator last year. But I am going on the strength of I believe in Matt LaFleur as a head coach and play caller, even though it's an organization of pathetic whiners. LaFleur is good enough for me to get into the back end of the top 10 on his own.
Can't dispute that. Not in my top 10. But I think that's
I would not pound the table for this.
I think that's more of a head coach. I like LaFleur.
I felt like there was a clear top 8, and these you could convince me any way on those last 2 spots. But I gave it to Green Bay.
Okay.
All right.
Do you think they're going to outperform? Do you think that's a team, if we do this exercise next year, they're higher up?
No, not necessarily. Okay. I think they'll be right about in the same place.
Right about the same place.
Yeah. Okay. Who's your number 8?
My number 8 is the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay.
Kevin O'Connell.
I have the Vikings at 6.
Okay. So you can probably sell me on this more, but I think Kevin O'Connell's proven that he's a sharp head coach. That team wins. They've won with different quarterbacks.
Tall drink of water.
They has family in Westchester.
Square jaw.
Another EJ Smith story, by the way. Also, look, this shouldn't factor into it. Outstanding with the media. Won the PFWA award for being helpful with the media.
I'm going to drop them down the list now.
You don't like people who help the media do their jobs? No. You're more of a Bellcheck guy. That makes sense.
I just don't want. That's not that. It shouldn't factor in any way.
It does
if you
not.
spend too much time buttering up the media, there's a happy medium. I don't want you to be too good at the media. Don't be like Brandon Staley the first year of your.
But that's the thing about O'Connell. It's just him being genuine. He's just people say he's just a nice guy.
Sure.
It's why Caleb Williams wanted to go play for him. It's why Aaron Rodgers wanted to go play for him. People just like KOC. But family grew up here in Westchester. I believe his father was in the FBI. As I said, another good EJ Smith story. Defensive coordinator, Brian Flores.
Yes.
Really respect Brian Flores as a defensive coordinator. I think Brian Flores is going to be a good head coach. He's someone who should get a second chance to be a head coach. Wes Phillips as the OC. I don't have a strong Wes Phillips take. I view that more as Kevin O'Connell's offense.
Some people love Wes Phillips, but yeah.
Josh McCown, one of the best stories you ever did.
Sure.
It's certainly
one of the most read stories I've ever done.
It's certainly one of the most, I would say, replicated stories you ever did.
Well, that's for sure.
Yes. Yeah. It spawned.
Still waiting for the
the royalty checks on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spawned us. It spawned many imitators.
Thieves, you might say.
Thieves, you might say. That Josh McCown's a well-regarded quarterbacks coach.
No doubt. Keenan McCardell. One of the better, thought to be one of the better wide receiver coaches in the league. The combination here of probably one of the better head coaches in the league and also one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. That's why I have them all the way up at number 6. I think that's a duo that you would take over 26 other teams. So there you go.
So how much were the head coaches the driver in your evaluation?
I think the head coaches matter a lot unless the whole staff is enough to sway it in one direction or another, like it was with the Eagles, who are my number 1.
Yes. Make sure. Yeah, that's. People always say I'm the homer on this show.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm a little bit. I had Jalen at number 5. I had the Eagles' weapons at number 1, and I have the staff at number 1. Listen, they won the Super Bowl. I was going
to say, it's almost as if they won the Super Bowl, right?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's almost as if they won the Super Bowl.
I'm not happy about it.
Yeah,
but that's how I feel.
Yeah. I see in the chat now. I got to say, I appreciate people saying this. I don't look anything like Kevin O'Connell. Or Kevin O'Connell doesn't look anything like
I
me.
want to disagree with you, Zach, but I think you're right.
Yeah, I don't look anything
you don't look
like
anything like each other at all.
Yeah, so I've seen 2 things in the chat there. No, we don't look anything alike.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right.
What head coach do you think you look most alike?
What head coach do I think I look most alike?
I didn't say offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I know you didn't. D'Amico.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah. My number 8. I imagine these will be a little bit higher for you, but a bit of a step down on the defense last year, I thought. But, Zach Orr in his first year did a good job.
Ooh.
Good deep staff. Chris Horton, I've talked about for a while as one of the best special teams coaches in the league, a guy who I think should get head coaching interviews. I'm a little bit lower on Todd Monken than some people, but
really?
John Harbaugh as the steady hand at the top. Give me the Ravens. Lock it in at number 8.
I had the Baltimore Ravens number 4.
Okay, that doesn't surprise me.
I drink that purple Kool-Aid.
I know you do.
The purple drank, is that what they call it?
Yeah, let's get that on tomorrow's show. You drinking purple drank. I'd pay a lot of that for that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm bullish on the Baltimore organization as it is, top to bottom there. But John Harbaugh is head coach, one of the elite head coaches in the league. I've liked Todd Monken going back to Southern Miss. I remember covering a game in Hattiesburg. I was really impressed by his offense then, and he did well with Tampa Bay. He did well with Georgia, and you've seen what he's done these past 2 years with the Ravens. Zach Orr, yeah, their defense did go down a bit last year. I've heard nothing but great things about Zach Orr. They added Chuck Pagano to that staff, strong special teams staff. Randy Brown helping with the kickers. The mayor from that way, Evesham. Am I pronouncing it correctly? Evesham?
Evan Eschemeyer.
No. Am I pronouncing it correctly, chat? Evesham, New Jersey? God, I should have did the Google pronunciation before I came in. I should have asked it ChatGPT, how do you pronounce
apparently so.
The city.
And now the episode is ruined.
But yeah, I like this Baltimore staff quite a bit.
Yeah, I don't begrudge you for having them at 4.
Yeah, Shield once did a story on Daniel Stern, who is on that Baltimore staff too.
Mary? Marv?
Yeah.
Marv?
Yeah, that was a good story Shield
Marv,
wrote.
what are you doing? Okay, who's your number 7?
My number 7 is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And look, Mike Tomlin. I mean, you heard what Aaron Rodgers said yesterday, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
What better way to finish his
I hope
career?
to not hear anything that he says.
Well, you don't have to worry about that
ever.
because he said after next year you won't hear from him again.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. You want to bet $1,000?
I actually don't. Not on that. Yeah. I would take your side of the bet, but
yeah.
But that's what he said. So Mike Tomlin, are we at the point where Tomlin's a little overrated? Maybe so. But
I don't think so. I think he's properly rated.
But I'm a big Tomlin guy. I think his teams are well prepared. I'm impressed with his just with his coaching, with his leadership. I think Arthur Smith is a high level offensive coordinator. I'm curious to see Arthur Smith this year.
In mourning.
Yeah. I read a few very nice obituaries about Fred Smith. So
I read a few not very nice things about Fred Smith.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, the ones I read were nice.
Well, that tracks. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people had bad things to say about him when he passed away.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah. So, anyways, Fred's. Yeah. I'm sorry for Arthur Smith's loss. Terrell Austin's a good DC. Danny Smith is the special teams coordinator there. Always enjoyed speaking with Danny Smith when he was the special teams coordinator for the former Washington football team. And yeah, they have some decent assistants on that staff, but this is really a Tomlin, Smith, Austin ranking here. I just think it's a very professional coaching staff.
Okay. I had him just on the outside. I mean, I love Tomlin. I would be happy to have Tomlin, but just missed for me. Okay. What?
I'm just curious. I'm curious about these obituaries that ripped the guy.
Well, it's not an official obituary.
What was like social media chatter or?
Yeah, stories that people were telling about interactions with him or his family.
Okay. Yeah, I was reading about how he had this hub and spoke idea when he was at Yale, and I believe it was Yale, and then implemented it and really changed the way commerce was done. FedEx was ahead of its time. How he
good logo. Can't argue with the logo.
So I'll tell a story here. I do this thing with Reed where we look at. I think I told this on the show before.
I think so.
Yeah, I shouldn't repeat stories.
That's okay.
But the hidden things in logo.
Right.
So he's enamored with that FedEx logo now because of the
it's a great logo.
And we always Google the hidden things, and so the M and the B in the Brewers logo he loves that. We go logo by logo to show him the hidden things.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. My number 7 is the only new head coach I have on here.
Wow.
I imagine you do not have them in the top 10, but it's not just Ben Johnson that I'm buying.
Oh, that's not the team I thought you were going to go with.
Ben Johnson has put together a very professional staff. Dennis Allen, this is a bit of a shout out to Fran. You know, Fran loves a Dennis Allen defense, and I think there is reason to believe that he is one of the better defensive coordinators in the league if that is just his job. You bring in Al Harris, a guy who has been talked about as a potential defensive coordinator in the past. He's overqualified. You got Eric Bieniemy coaching the running backs.
Yes.
He's overqualified. You got Press Taylor being thrown into the mix.
Not if you ask LaShawn McCoy.
Among the offensive line, or the offensive brain trust. I don't know anything about Declan Doyle. I can't tell you how I feel about him, but I do believe that Ben Johnson, we have seen, sometimes maybe it gets a little bit too crazy, but I think you trust him as an offensive mind. I would sign up for the Bears staff sight unseen because I think he has done a really good job putting together the professional defensive staff, and then I buy him on offense.
Interesting. Okay. They were in my also receiving votes, but he was not the new head coach that I would have had in these rankings. The new head coach I was going to have in these rankings was Vrabes.
Yeah, I knew that was going to be the case. I was waiting for this.
Vrabes with Josh McDaniel, who is
great.
A really good offensive coordinator.
Debatable.
I mean, I think history's proven he's a quality offensive coordinator.
Has it?
Well, maybe it was just Brady, but
correct. He had one good year. He had one good year without Brady.
He had a good year at Castle too.
That's the good year without Brady.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, they were fine with Mac Jones hitting his year there.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
And even the Cam Newton year, they were like he found ways to
that's fine.
Matriculate the ball downfield.
Doug Marrone and Ben McAdoo over there.
Yes. Yeah. So is it Williams is the D coordinator? He brought him from Detroit. Was with him in Tennessee. So, yeah. I mean, but Vrabes is a proven head coach. So he did not make my top 10, but he was close to it.
Okay. All right. Let's get to our top 6 on the other side, and we'll find out who Zach thinks is better than the Eagles, who he thinks that you are not lucky enough to get. All right. Brenna, what are you laughing at? This is serious business. We're talking about our friends at Monarch Money. I mean, serious as a doornail. What's more serious than money? I know Zach thinks about this all the time. How can he avoid paying for
yes, true.
the arcade coins?
Yes.
He's throwing money away at that arcade. Well, if he had Monarch Money, maybe that wouldn't have happened. Finances can be messy and confusing. Monarch Money acts like your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control so you can stop earning and start growing. It's more than your average budgeting app. Monarch Money is a complete financial command center for your accounts, investments, and goals. Don't just manage your money, start building wealth with 50% off your first year for our listeners. Monarch Money is the finance tool people actually love. Named the Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025. It is the top recommended personal finance app by users and experts with over 30,000 five-star reviews. Financial stress is one of the top reasons relationships fall apart. Monarch Money makes money conversations easier. Get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use code PHLY at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code PHLY.
So I was in a hotel last week and Flex there, yeah. And I asked Emily what she thinks of the room. And I said, you know what? I really like these floors. I said, good quality floors. They were like, they were hardwood, or maybe they were vinyl, but they looked like hardwood, right? But regardless, real high quality. Like they looked good. They had a good aesthetic to them.
Nice.
And I got to think there's only one place where this hotel got them.
You got to think.
And that's Empire Today. Because Empire Today has flooring experts. They're dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. I can't imagine that the interior decorator at this hotel went to a big box store and was going aisle to aisle and saying, we need that floor in room 1527. No, they were probably calling Empire Today.
Was it 1527?
Yeah, that was room number 1527. Yeah. Cause and you know what? Because if they went to that big box store, they were hauling all the materials back to the hotel, looking for an installer, coordinating everything. No, they could just talk to Empire Today. These big box stores might have a flooring department that the person helping you with flooring is probably better off giving you advice to the sinks or the light bulbs in this hotel room. No. Empire Today is the place to go. They're your best bet for new floors. They live and breathe flooring. They will be with you every step of the way. It's a whole different ballgame. With Empire Today, you get clear, upfront, all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule an installation as soon as the next day. Nobody likes to wait. This hotel kind of kept us waiting at the front desk, so they like to wait a little bit more than I do. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. PHLY listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code PHLY. Yes, you heard that right. A $350 discount with code PHLY. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday/PHLY for full details. I should tell you, at this hotel, true to brand, Bo.
1527.
That was the room number. But second morning there, walking through, I say, Emily, can you find out where they get the smell for the lobby?
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Great smell. Great smell, lobby.
Yeah. What did it smell like?
Like a tropical floral in there. So it was a good like summer scent. You know, sometimes in the winter you're probably looking for more of like a woodsy scent, like a cedar or an oak, right?
Yeah.
But if you go to the Caribbean, you're not looking for like cedar or oak. You're looking for something more like
something breezy.
Yeah, breezy is a good word for it. That's what it was. So combined with the like,
but then it might not play well in your house.
That's true. And so the key is, by the way, they put it through the air conditioning system. I told this on the show before. I once looked this up. And you know, to get this into your vents, I mean, you need Monarch money to help you with that because that's an expensive endeavor. But they did sell candles. I just don't think the candles will last long enough to really give the smell that we want.
But I'm so if you're interested in getting the smell, how else would you get it other than a candle?
Well, that's what they try to.
So why even look into it if you're not willing to?
Well, I want to so true story. You find out what the scent is, you put it in, and there's these third-party websites that sell hotel smells.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and so you find these third-party websites that sell hotel smells, and you can get it from them for a fraction of the price. I found out the hard way though. That's not good. I got
of course.
I'm telling way too much here. But look, it's
how many times must you learn this lesson?
It's June 25th. Okay, so I'll share this for the holidays.
Hold on, before you share this, we're gonna make this Zach the big deal presented by Cherry Hill Jeep.
Yeah. So back for the holidays, I got a cologne in a Secret Santa. Okay, and it was a great cologne, but it was a small. Like a very small, very small thing. And so I look up the cologne to refill it. A little more than my cologne budget. Okay. But I found a website that said, if you like the smell of this, it was like hack. You get it from this. It was a big box store. I don't want to tell the box store's name. And so I get it at the box store, and it comes, and this was a day Emily was home before me, and she opens it up from the box store, and she's like, "Why did you get this cologne?" And I was like, "It smells the same as the one that I got, but for a third of the price." And I put it on, and she's like, "That is gross." Like, I said, "I'm going to return it." She's like, "You can't return cologne that you already used." I said, "Sure you can. It's within the 30 days." And but yeah, so I learned a lesson the hard way.
You did return it?
I did return it, and we replaced the cologne. She just bought me the cologne that she liked.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
When you say that you looked it up and it was a little bit out of your price range,
Yes.
Or your expected budget for whatever that service is.
Yeah.
Can you think of a time in which you did that initial research and didn't have that reaction?
Yes.
Okay. Aside from becoming a diehard.
Yes. The MacBook Air, when it came out in 2022, or no, 2020,
Okay.
they
So it's been about 5 years since
they got under
there was a good that you weren't willing.
They
to
came out with the M1 chip in 2020. I remember it was during COVID because I talked about this on the show. I drove down to Delaware to pick it up, if you remember. Yeah. And they were getting it under the $1,000 price point. Okay. And that was like it was like $999 if they get that. But if you get it in Delaware, you get it tax free, right? And so that was the time where I was like, man, this outperformed its price. Also, the AirPods outperformed the price. So those are
expensive though.
Those are two things. Yeah, but when the first time you go from the wired headphones to the AirPods, it's like walking into a hotel with a great scent, right? Like,
why?
Oh, it's a night and day difference. You disagree?
It's a nice to have. I don't. Wires were not a problem for me. I wasn't getting caught up around poles or something like that.
So you get to a point with the phone when they no longer had the headphone jack. So then you didn't just have to carry the wired headphones, but you also had to carry the converter for it.
Well, yeah, of course. That's not the point. That's they forced that onto us.
Yeah, but it was so I would go on the planes or on my walks, and if you don't have the jack,
well, yeah, but that's a different thing. I don't.
So the AirPods changed. It was great in that regard.
But there is a bit of a better functional.
All right, so
you
here,
can leave your phone in one room and still be listening to your podcast in the other room. But I find the audio quality often better on the wired headphones.
All right, I will give one thing here that I paid a premium for, but it was worth it. And I actually don't know if I paid it. I think I just paid market price. I got laser eye surgery back in once I was old enough to get it. Like I got the LASIK.
So did my wife.
And what did she say about it?
Before I ever met her, that's how she knew I was so good looking.
That's a good line. It changed my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like if you're able to wake up and just see,
of course,
that was worth. That was, I tell people, that was like the best investment I ever made, other than the engagement ring, because I wanted Emily to marry me. But other than that, the LASIK was the best investment I ever made.
That tracks.
Yeah. Anyways,
2015 over here.
Yeah. 2015.
Oh yeah, baby.
Oh, look at that. Okay.
And that has been the big deal.
Yes.
Presented by Cherry Hill Jeep. Beep, beep, beep. Who got the keys to the Jeep? Okay. Zach, let's get to your number 6, I believe, is where we are.
Yeah, my number 6.
My 6 is the Vikings. We've already talked about the Vikings.
Yeah, my number 6 is the Los Angeles Chargers. Give me...
Who's got it better than us?
Nobody!
I got him at 5.
Wow, there you go. With an enthusiasm unknown to mankind.
Yeah.
Jim Harbaugh, the inspiration for Ted Lasso's wardrobe. Did you know that?
No.
Okay, he was.
That tracks, though, yeah.
Greg Roman.
Not as much of a badonkadonk on Ted Lasso, though.
Yeah, big Ted Lasso fan. Jesse Minter.
Yeah.
I'm impressed with the Jesse Minter.
Sure.
Does a real good job with that. I believe it's Mike Elston, well-regarded, a defensive line coach. Marcus Brady, former O coordinator on that staff. So, yeah, give me Jim Harbaugh.
Bowman.
Navarro Bowman's on that staff. Give me the Los Angeles Chargers here.
Yeah, I got the Chargers at 5 for all those reasons.
Yep.
So there you go. Who's your number 5?
My number 5, staying in the most beautiful stadium in the NFL, the Los Angeles Rams.
They're my number 4.
Wow. Okay. So sell me on them because they're your 4th.
Well, I think we can make fun of McVay, but I do think that I wish that he wasn't so tepid on game day. I wish he wasn't so conservative. If he was just like a guy who was aggressive on fourth down, he would be the number one coach in the league for me. I think he did a good job identifying Chris Shula. They've gotten really overperformed relative to the talent that they had on defense last year. It's a fine staff, but it's really on the strength of McVay.
Yeah. So McVay's his resume speaks for itself. Players rave about him. I agree with you. Not as sold on the coordinators, although if you watch Bussing with the Boys and you heard George Kittle talk about the workout machine that they have in San Francisco, there's an interesting Mike LaFleur anecdote in there. I'll just
okay.
You should always watch our show, but I'll give you that tease. What I like is their on their staff. Jimmy Lake was a former college head coach, former defensive coordinator, well-regarded defensive coordinator in college, was just fine with the Falcons, but now he goes to position coach. Dave Ragone was an O coordinator. Now he's a position coach there. Chase Blackburn on that staff. Former Eagles offensive coordinator interviewee Nate Shieldhouse is there as well. So
I love that guy.
This is probably more of a McVay ranking, but that's where I'm going.
All right, so I'm curious as to who your number 4 is then.
I give you the Ravens.
Oh, the Ravens. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we are at our top 3, and it seems that we have the same top 3.
Okay.
In a different order. We already know that you have the Eagles at 2.
Yes.
I've got them at 1. Who do you have at number 3?
My number 3 is the San Francisco 49ers. Kyle Shanahan has built a juggernaut of a staff there. And Kyle Shanahan's had a lot of success within himself. But he brings back Robert Saleh, who I think we can agree is a high-level D coordinator. They were productive when he was there. His defenses were good with the Jets. He did not get the Jets to where they needed to go. But as a D coordinator, I like that hire quite a bit. Your boy, Chris Kokorik, am I pronouncing it correctly? High-level
best D-line coach in the league.
High-level D-line coach. I mean, pay attention to Bryce Huff there. I think Bryce Huff's going to be pretty productive there. They bring Gus Bradley in. Gus Bradley, former head coach, former D coordinator. You know, he's your senior assistant. Chris Forster, pretty questionable video out there, but he does have productive offensive lines during his time. So Chris Forster there. What? Okay. So yeah, I think this is a strong overall staff.
A little too much nepotism here with Clay Kubiak and Mick Lombardi, and you wonder, if Kyle Shanahan is, feels like that's an advantage given his own background. They picked up Colt Anderson to add to the special teams group, which like. So a bunch of guys who are overqualified for their positions. And listen, I also make fun of Kyle Shanahan, and I think that he has underperformed in big spots, and his record is much more spotty than he's given credit for. But I think this is a very deep staff.
Yeah.
For all the reasons you talked about, Saleh, even having guys like Gus Bradley around. I don't know what to expect from Clay Kubiak, but it's going to be Shanahan's offense anyway. I've got him at number 2.
Number 2?
Yes.
So your number 3 is my number 1.
Correct.
Wow. So let me sell you on this. The Kansas City Chiefs. Your 3, my 1. Best head coach in the NFL, Andy Reid. I think his track record shows that. His track record in Philly, his track record in Kansas City. The last time the Chiefs were not in a championship game was in 2017, the 2017 season, so 2018 playoffs. So think about how long ago the Eagles won that first Super Bowl. Think about how many lives Eagles fans have lived since then. That's how long it's been since the Chiefs did not make the championship game. And then you add in Steve Spagnuolo, who, look, if it's not Fangio, Spags is like the best D coordinator in the league. He's won Super Bowls with 2 different teams as defensive coordinators. He's won 5 Super Bowls as a D coordinator, or 4 Super Bowls as a D coordinator. Matt
12.
Nagy, 12.
I don't know.
Yeah, Matt Nagy is the offensive coordinator here. Matt Nagy is, I thought, a decent coach, a decent head coach. Team petered out, probably too obsessed with the kicking situation.
Yes.
Eagles got in his head there. But I think he's He's a good OC, although he's only been the OC for Patrick Mahomes.
Sure.
Your boy on special teams.
My boy.
Your boy on special
Dave
teams.
Toub.
Dave Toub.
A Hall of Fame level
Yes.
coach, I believe.
Yeah. And I think that Andy he does a good job developing coaches. So I got to go with the Chiefs.
It looks like the best staff in the NFL. I will explain to you why they are my number 3 in
overtime.
Okay, here's the deal. It's a clear top 3. Eagles, Niners, Chiefs. And I would have had the Chiefs at number 1 for all the reasons you talked about. You've probably got the best head coach in the league. You got a top 3 defensive coordinator. And you got the best special teams coordinator in football. You got a very professional staff around them. Probably should be number 1. But there's an addition they made to the coaching staff this offseason, Zach, that probably went a little bit unnoticed. And I am a man of honor. And I care about my friends. And I love Fran Duffy.
Oh, I know where you're going here.
And I am duty bound to drop them to number 3. The sins of the father should not fall on the son.
No, you're right about that.
But when you hire Louis Adazio, the son of Steve Adazio, I'm sorry, you cannot be the number 1 coaching staff in the NFL. That is a bridge too far for me. So Adazio, you're down. And you know what? I don't know how proud that dad would be of Louis Adazio. That's all I'm saying.
So, touche there. But I'm going to help out Fran here too, because we love our friend Duffy, and I have to have Fran's back here as well.
No, you already didn't.
No.
Only one of us has his back.
No, I have his back because I will take your Adazio and I will raise you I'm sorry. I will raise you a DeLeon. Because as I don't want to speak for Fran here, whatever Fran might think about Steve Adazio.
Okay. This is nothing, this is not about Fran. This is about me. I'm the one. I will answer for this. I will call him to account.
Okay.
For being a trash human being, a cockroach.
I've heard Fran gush about George DeLeon.
Sure. Yes.
George DeLeon, who my understanding is like, come on in, let me teach you football.
Yeah,
here,
absolutely.
Right? I should say teach you football. Like, you're a football guy.
Yeah. Fran, are you a football guy?
Yeah. Are you a football guy? George DeLeon's son, Mark, is on this staff. So the sons cancel out. And then you just evaluate the rest of the staff, right?
Yeah. No, I think this is a Dark Knight broken pool cue situation. You got to throw them into a room. Only one can come out.
Okay.
And whichever way that goes is how we will raise or lower them.
Okay.
So they're number 3 for me.
Number 3. Okay.
You know what? I'm going to ride for my man. And that's why the Philadelphia Eagles have the best coaching staff in football. There you go. You think Fran will even make it this far?
I hope not.
He's not you. I mean,
I missed the turkey melt conversation.
You really did.
What point in the show was that?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I was getting it in fits and starts sometimes. I regret that. I probably would.
Somebody did pass along on Blue Sky that turkey melt moron. Now, if you Google it, it does point to that episode.
All right, good.
Good job on the chaptering by whoever was producing that day. I think that was
Brenna. No. I'm sorry, it was Bree. That was Bree.
I think that might be right.
That was Bree. Yeah, that was Bree. Tyler was yesterday.
No, not Monday's show. Last week's show.
Gotcha.
Not your turkey melt.
Oh, good. Okay.
From when Fran and I were in the studio last
your
Thursday.
rant. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. What else is going on in your world?
Well, today.
Any other teams that you wanted to discuss here?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. Also,
the other teams who have other receiving votes for me, who we did not talk about, the Browns. But I'm not a Tommy Reese guy like you are. The Broncos, I think you could make a case for if you really buy into Sean Payton, and Vance Joseph is a very good defensive coordinator.
And also on that Broncos staff, Todd Davis, former All-City colleague. Shout out Todd.
Miami again, like I think the sheen is a little bit off McDaniel, but there are some interesting coaches also in that building. And then I took out D'Amico, but I did want to say, I mean, just littered with ex-Eagles on that coaching staff. Matt Burke, Bill Lazor, Corey Undlin, Billy Davis, Dino Vasso.
That's true.
Plus Sean Baker, the director of Honora.
Director of what?
Honora.
What's that?
The movie that won Best Picture last year.
Did not see it. Okay. Is it worth seeing?
I think you'd like it.
All right.
I think you in particular would like the first 10 minutes.
I don't know what that means, but yeah, Evan and I were trying to watch something to watch we're trying to find something to watch last night. We couldn't agree on anything.
So you both went to bed mad or?
No.
Puffed away?
No, we tried watching this show on Amazon, The Other Sister, I think it's called. She wasn't buying it after like the first 10 minutes. I might circle back. The Other Sister is the movie where I famously made out for the first time. Oh, God, I want to hear that story.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what's the story? What's the show on Amazon? Or The Bad Sister, maybe?
I don't know.
Yeah, The Bad Sister. So then we tried watching Waterfront on Netflix. I didn't get past the first
Waterfront?
Yeah, it's called Waterfront.
I don't know it.
And so then I wanted to watch baseball. She wanted to watch Bravo. We compromised. She watched Bravo. I read. So
okay.
Yeah.
You could have just watched baseball on your phone or something.
True, but the thing is this: you
reading that Bill Clinton book or are you reading something else?
I'm reading Abundance right now.
Okay.
But I go at bat to at bat. So I have the MLB.TV package. Something else which I think is worth what I pay for it. That's awesome. And
so you probably don't DirecTV?
No.
Oh,
no,
MLB TV.
MLB.TV.
Yeah, that's good.
Where you get every game.
That's a very good product.
Yeah, exactly. So I watch like my fantasy players. Although I watch their at bat, so I go from at bat to at bat. So it's harder.
Do you think that's a product they could invent on MLB TV? You input your fantasy team, and then it's like
they should.
It's like it just automatically routes you to their at bats.
Technology these days, right?
I don't know.
You should pitch that seriously. That's a great idea.
I'm sure they've thought of it.
That is a
very
great
smart
idea.
people over in that building.
At MLB?
Yeah. Not Manfred, but
okay. Yeah. So one other staff I just want to bring up, and don't laugh when I bring this up.
Hold on, let me guess.
You're gonna get it.
Oh, you are. You are not gonna do it. You're not really gonna do it, are you?
The Las Vegas Raiders?
Oh no, I thought you were gonna do the Cardinals.
Oh no, not the Cardinals. No, the Las Vegas Raiders. Like, say what you want about
That's
Pete
the
Carroll.
other one, but yeah.
Yeah, say what you want about Pete Carroll. He's been a legitimate
chews gum.
He's been a successful head coach in this league. Okay, and Chip Kelly at offensive coordinator. He was the OC for the national champions last year. Okay, so that's just a matter of fact.
It is.
Patrick Graham, good DC. So I think that's
Bob Bicknell.
Bob Bicknell. I think that's a pro level coaching staff there.
I think it's fine.
Yeah, they did not make my top 10.
They would not have been in my bottom 3 or 5.
Okay, who's your worst coaching staff?
I have 5 here who are at the very bottom. I think the Giants are up there. My bottom 5 in no particular order were Giants, Colts. Unfortunately, like I like Shane,
yeah,
but the rest of that staff really leaves you wanting. Although Anarumo could bounce back. The Panthers, too horny. The Falcons, although I think you could sell me on the Falcons and the Cardinals.
Okay, yeah.
Although the Titans are up there too, or down there.
I put the Panthers and the Titans near the bottom, and I say that I think Denard Wilson is a sharp mind, but that's the rest of that staff doesn't do it for me.
I also think you could sell me on the Bengals being pretty low. And what's funny is when you go through, like if you go through the Wikipedia page that has all the coaching staffs, the Bengals staff is so small.
Yeah,
like,
seriously. They don't pay.
They don't pay anybody.
Exactly.
They got don't have a scouting staff, and their coaching staff it's like half the size of the Eagles.
And that's like one, look, we can rip on
Al Golden.
Yeah, true. Sure, we can rip on some of these organizations, but like something like San Francisco, they really invest, right? They have staff members on staff members on staff members. Same thing with the Eagles. Like
a veritable orgy of coaches
but these
out
teams
there.
that have like multiple, senior assistant coaches and things like that. It's a veritable football think tank, and I respect that.
Okay, yeah, I think think tank is like a buzzword that would just make you excited no matter
guilty as charged.
Yeah,
Guilty as charged. If there's a headline that says like, me college football's newest think tank, I'm clicking on that story. Okay,
100%.
There are certain buzzwords that absolutely get me. Think tank is one of them. The future of is something that will always always get me to click. There's anything that like I think, ooh, there's something here. The secret to.
I was just gonna say like the hack.
Yeah, the hack, the secret to. Yeah, I'm clicking. I'm clicking on that story. Yeah, so the Eagles discovered this secret to. I remember the Wall Street Journal once did that. It was just electing captains, or drafting captains, and I was like, I don't know if that worked out for them so well. Yeah.
Okay. We do have a super chat to get to, Zach, from Stunks Zach Berman, who says, "What was Chris Forster doing on video?"
What was he doing on video? I'll let you Google.
This is the Niners offensive line coach.
Yeah, I'll let you Google that.
I think you could say it. I mean, it's overtime.
Because I don't quite know how to describe it, but
I think you could. I mean, you're a professional wordsmith. You should be able to.
Yeah, no, I
How would you write it?
Caught using an illegal substance.
If I'm your editor, I need you to be more specific.
Yeah, I don't. I have to review the video in order to give you a better understanding, to be more descriptive.
And was there anything else interesting?
I think there was a woman involved in some capacity.
What kind of woman?
Who am I to say?
A lady of the night?
Who am I to say? Yeah. So I'm staying away from that one.
Okay.
Yeah. But I will let you fill in the. I will let you.
The question was directed to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone have any other super chats that we can move on, so we can change the subject here?
Okay.
Excited for tonight?
I'm excited for tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
I feel like I'm going to be underwhelmed.
Would VJ Edgecombe underwhelm you?
Like sticking at 3 and taking VJ Edgecombe, that's chalk, right? I think that would be fine, but.
Yeah. I just want to use this time on the show to shout out our Sixers crew. They've been doing an awesome job.
No doubt about it.
And make sure if you want a crash course on this.
And really important to make sure that we highlight this just at the very end of the episode.
Yeah, true. If you want a crash course on it.
Take this time now.
Make sure you're a diehard. Because Derek Bodner and Will Gottlieb did an awesome job with the draft guide. It's helped me kind of better understand these players. Mock drafts up there. Kyle Neubeck's information dump on allphly.com was awesome. And their shows have been terrific. So we know firsthand how much fun doing drafts are on PHLY, and they get a chance to do that tonight.
Yeah, and if you're going to be there tonight at the Boozy Mutt, I'm hoping to come by. I'm going to see if I can make it happen, but I'm going to be tuned in either way. Very excited to see what happens. And then Brenna's got to do another draft.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. Take James Higgins if he's there. Don't overthink it. Back when I said Roger McQueen, I thought James Higgins was going to be off the board. Take James Higgins. Stop worrying about size. Focus on the best players. And so, yeah. If they take Jake O'Brien or Brady Martin over Jake Higgins, I'd be disappointed.
Okay.
Or I shouldn't say disappointed. I don't know it well enough to be disappointed. But
I do feel like,
yeah.
I know that you've done the work on the basketball prospects. It's hard for me to believe you.
Yeah, true.
But you're saying it with conviction.
Yeah, I do like Roger McQueen, though. I think Roger McQueen's going to be underdrafted.
Okay.
Yeah. But, yeah, I'm sorry. I said Jake Higgins. It's James Higgins.
Jimmy.
From Long Island.
Joe.
But yeah, that's on
Jack.
that's on Friday night, and our Flyers crew does an awesome job as well.
I want to take this time to shout out the Flyers crew
Yes.
for doing a fantastic job, especially their producer, Brenna. All right. Thank you to Brenna for producing today's episode of the PHLY Eagles podcast. We will be back tomorrow. And listen, we talked about what makes this Eagles staff the best staff in football. A big part of that, Jeff Stoutland. And so we're going to be dedicating the entirety of tomorrow's show to Jeff Stoutland and some stories about what makes him such a good offensive line coach. A little tease for you. Should be fun. Thanks for watching and listening. And we'll make sure you that like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Comment below. What's the thing that you've paid fair price for? And we'll talk to you tomorrow at 2 o'clock. For Zach and Brent, I'm Bo. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.